Hey everyone, I wanted to take some time today to make a video about the future of Halo Wars. What does Halo Wars look like in the future now that the MCC is getting close to being completed on Steam and PC? What will that team be doing? Will they come back and work on Halo Wars 2? And also I want to talk about what will Halo Wars 2 look like after the release of Halo Infinite. So I want to kind of bring out some speculations that I may have, just things that I potentially think that could be more probable to happen to the game. But of course, I'd love to know your thoughts on this discussion in the comments down below. And we're going to continue this conversation on our Discord server. Link to that is in the description. So let's start with where Halo Wars 2 currently is. If you're new to the scene of Halo Wars 2, or you just recently picked up the game or interested in how it's doing, Halo Wars 2 has actually received quite a bit of post-launch content. So when the game launched, there were only 6 leaders, plus Forge was free day 1 DLC for everybody. So really the game launched with 7 leaders. Since then, they've expanded the roster to a total of 16 leaders, 8 UNSC, and 8 banished leaders. You do get all the leaders whether you buy the Season Pass of Halo Wars 2 or if you buy the Complete Edition. And if you want to get all of the content, the Complete Edition is the way to go. The Season Pass and the Complete Edition both include a campaign expansion. It's called Operation Spearbreaker. You kind of take control of a hero ODST squad. It's kind of cool. It's short. It's only 2 missions, but it was free for the Season Pass holders. The only thing that separates the Season Pass from the Complete Edition is the expansion pack called Awakening the Nightmare. And that is what adds Pavium and Vortis as leaders into the game. It also adds a new campaign expansion, which is, I think it's 5 missions, and it also includes some of those really nice blur cutscenes that we love in Halo Wars. And it also includes the Terminus Firefight game mode. So there's quite a lot there. That is not included in the Season Pass. You'll have to get the Complete Edition or buy it separately if you want to get that in the game. So Halo Wars has actually a lot of game modes, a lot of leaders, and there's a lot of content here. I think a lot of people feel a little bit let down on the lack of map variety and the amount of maps. I do believe Halo Wars 1 still has more maps quantity than Halo Wars 2. I also think the maps in Halo Wars 1 are of better quality than Halo Wars 2, but that's neither here nor there. So let's talk about what will happen to Halo Wars 2 after the Master Chief Collection is finished. At the time of recording, 343 is almost done releasing Halo 4 onto PC and Steam. So technically speaking, all of the main entries will be completed. They started with Reach, and they did, of course, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then ODST. So what's that team going to be doing? Well, it looks like they may be continuing to work on MCC with some additional features like the custom games browser, cross-play functionality. I think they're going to be doing file share improvements. There's going to be more seasons with more unlockables and content as well for whichever game they're going to focus on for a particular season. So there is going to be quite some new stuff coming to Master Chief Collection. They'll also probably do some challenges as well, but by and large, the majority of the work will be completed. So I could see that team either going in 2 directions, and I think the most probable direction is that that team is going to be pulled over to work on Halo Infinite. Because, as you know, Halo Infinite has been delayed. It was supposed to be a launch title for the Xbox Series X and the S consoles, which are now out. The game has no release date whatsoever. We don't even know if it's coming in 2021. If it does come this time in 2021, they could actually maybe nail the 20-year anniversary of Halo, which would be kind of cool. But I think that's more probable since the game is behind schedule, so they're going to want to, of course, make it the best game that it can be on the time frame that they can actually achieve. But I would also like to see that team come over to Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 2 actually has some decent amount of annoying and sometimes even game-breaking bugs and glitches and exploits and things of that sort. Halo Wars 2 is not perfect. I would say it's probably the buggiest Halo game I've ever played. So there is some room for improvement there, and I hope that they do come back to work on that. And if they do, I also hope that they continue to listen to the community on bringing Halo Wars 2 to Steam. I think bringing Halo Wars 2 to Steam is perfect because we've seen the success of Master Chief Collection do so well on Steam. It's usually one of the top-selling games on Steam. And I think once the cross-play functionality between MCC on Steam and Xbox, you're going to be able to find a lot more matches a lot faster in multiplayer. So I think them doing the same for Halo Wars 2 makes a lot of sense. It looks like Halo Infinite will be coming to PC, and Microsoft first-party games have been launching on Steam as well. So I wouldn't be surprised, and it may actually even be confirmed already. I'm not so sure if Infinite's been confirmed to come to Steam. So that would only leave the only 2 Halo games not on Steam, ironically, as Halo 5 and Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 1 is on Steam as well, so it kind of makes a little bit of sense to bring Halo Wars 2 to Steam. That is the game that introduces the Banished faction, so we do know the Banished will be present in Halo Infinite, maybe potentially among other enemies. So that would be awesome to see. I hope they do that. I think it would be a huge moneymaker for them. They would definitely make a profit on bringing the game to Steam. It's already running on PC, so I'm not so sure what sort of additional work needs to be done to make it work on Steam, but I think it's very doable. Also, I get a question asked quite frequently, will we see a Halo Wars 3? Is a Halo Wars 3 possible or probable, since it's now coming up on 4 years since the launch of Halo Wars 2? And I tell people probably not. The reason being is Halo Wars 3 was already pitched to Microsoft. There are articles out there containing that pitch. I did make a video on that as well. If I remember, I'll put a link to that in the description. But Halo Wars 3 was pitched, and it appears it was not greenlit to be, in development. That doesn't necessarily mean that it'll never happen, but it does appear that Microsoft and 343 want Halo Infinite to be Halo's main focus for the next 10 years. And if that entire team at 343 is going to be focusing on Infinite for 10 years, I highly doubt you're going to be seeing any other Halo entries coming out in that 10-year time span. I think they may be taking the Destiny kind of route where there's these big expansion packs coming to Halo Infinite. I'm not sure how they're actually going to be doing it for 10 years, but I think this is going to be the last mainline Halo game for quite some time, and I don't know if they're going to want to kind of split up their audience by releasing a strategy game. If anything, you could almost consider Halo Wars 2 to be kind of a holdover game or a placeholder game in between Halo 5 and Infinite, because I'm sure they knew it would take quite some time to develop that game. So who knows? It's all up in the air. I wouldn't say it's not going to happen. I would just say probably not at this time. But, such was true with Halo Wars 2. If you were to ask me, just even 5 or 6 years ago, hey, would Halo Wars 2 ever happen? I would say absolutely not. But yet here we are. What about, another question I get asked quite frequently is, what about other things like more DLC or a second season pass? Again, I think the answer to this is probably not, but not definitely a no. So I think if, that MCC team comes over and works on Halo Wars 2, maybe they will do some DLC or a second season pass. I wouldn't rule anything out. They have done the Master Chief Collection based on feedback from the community in general. They wanted people to fix the MCC. They wanted 343 to bring it to PC, and they listened, especially bringing Reach into that collection as well, which kind of makes no sense, but it's there, and I'm glad it is. So what about my wish list? What do I think should happen to Halo Wars 2? Well, I can tell you first and foremost, my number one wish list is I would love to have the game come to Steam. And it's not because it's another platform I buy the game on, because I will, but it's because so many more gamers are on Steam than Xbox and Windows 10. Halo Wars 1 has performed really well in sales on Steam. Master Chief Collection has performed really well on sales on Steam. So there's an audience that wants Halo on PC, and RTS does fairly well on Steam as a platform. So I think it's just a perfect marriage, if you will, to have Halo Wars 2 come to Steam. I think that'd be fantastic. Another thing I think would be great on my wish list would be a Halo Wars 1 map pack. And we've kind of seen a little bit of this. Fort Jordan is a remake of Fort Dean into Halo Wars 2. It's only available in skirmish mode. The map is a little buggy, but it is there. It's a Halo Wars 1 map in Halo Wars 2. So if they can do that, I'm sure they could take some of the more popular maps that people love and know. Like, I'd love to see Terminal Moraine and Labyrinth and the Docks. Just maps like that I think would be a great fit for Halo Wars 2. As long as it's anything but Exile, I'm kind of game for it to come to Halo Wars 2. Finally, I know a lot of people ask for a Flood Leader, and I'm not so sure I want a Flood Leader in Halo Wars 2. Introducing a third faction would have considerable impacts on the balance of all of the leaders in the units in Halo Wars 2. I think I would endorse a Flood Leader coming to the game if it was limited to either skirmish mode or custom games, kind of like how Fort Jordan is. You can play Fort Jordan in custom games and skirmish, but you can't play it online. And so I think if they were to introduce a Flood Leader, that's probably where I would recommend it would be. Of course, you can get the Flood working in Halo Wars 2 if you want to go the modding route. It is possible to get the Flood working in Halo Wars 2. I also have Flood mod videos of those particular leaders in Halo Wars 1, and I can leave a link to that down below if I remember as well. I think that's going to do it for this video. I think, I'm hopeful that this isn't the end of Halo Wars 2, but, I mean, it's been... so much content has come out for this game, and 343 goes months without even mentioning the game, but they do know that people want changes, and I'm hopeful that they'll listen. And the only way they'll listen is if we nicely request it. So if you have the chance, you come across a 343 person, just remind them nicely that the Halo Wars community would like to see it come to Steam, and maybe even a second season pass isn't out of the question. All right, again, I'd love to know your thoughts on this one in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. And again, go to our Discord server so we can continue this conversation and chat with other Halo Wars 2 players. All right, that does it for me. I'll see you, James.